Hi everyone, my name is Ranako, chair of WeTalkingBois in Barbados, and I'm extremely happy to bring you the first ever podcast by WeTalkingBois, WeTalking, a podcast to talk all things Caribbean men. This podcast is kindly supported by the Canadian Fund for Local Initiatives, and on today's podcast, we talking us. We join some of our WeTalkingBois team discussing WeTalkingBois, the podcast, and who we are. Yes, so Makesi, how was your week? You've been into
That's
the
been interesting.
You've been in the island in Barbados for a whole week, and all you said it was interesting.
That's been an interesting week. Hmm. But just the thought of the next week starting is just causing like some anxiety basically because thinking about work starting back, school starting back, another work starting, going back into another work. It's really a lot happening. So the time off from so many of my responsibilities, it was refreshing to an extent. And definitely being in a new space, well, a different space, has been eye-opening in terms of just thinking and reflecting on life. Um, Especially being in a space where I was kind of forced to be uncomfortable in terms of meeting new persons. Because usually when I come here, it's my USC family, and I didn't have that. So, it's been interesting. It's the most I could say. How was your week? What's your week?
I think my week has been I don't want to use the same word interesting because I feel like you're stealing my words this
You
week.
always say interesting.
Stealing the word interesting. I feel like that's my word.
Is when you start with your friend's here birthday and you were like, oh, the Swift is a national car now. I'm just like, but I said that. Why are you stealing my things? All of us sudden the Swift is a national car for you.
I'm not stealing your
You
thing. It's
so are
just
you.
borrowing the phrase. It's just borrowing the phrase. I mean, come on, man.
Okay.
Um, I think really this week has been interesting in the sense that being your host and doing the amount of driving that I've done in that week, that was quite interesting. Actually, visiting some places in Barbados with you was actually quite refreshing because on a usual basis, I would have never visited those places. Um, it was a bit tiring sometimes, but you know, it is what it is. There are different emotions throughout the week. That's life, you know. Yeah, that's life. So it's been an interest. It really has been an interesting week. The week really hasn't been like a week where it's like work or home. There's always something interesting, and every day actually was not the same in the sense of even when I went to work, obviously work is not the same every day. Going to different places every day, having a different unique experience, that type of thing. So it was, I mean, overall, I think it was okay. It was shouldn't even say this in front of him, but it was generally nice having Makesi
Uh-huh.
Oh, so
with
you didn't
you.
want to say that. You didn't, you didn't want to say that. Oh, okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I don't. I really.
Yes.
I think. I don't want to stroke Makesi's ego today.
Mm,
Oh.
okay.
So my thing is, you talk about ego, you talk about it's been a stressful week, you talk about emotions. Many of us mentioned like it definitely been a stressful. Um, so then tell us about the work of We Talking Boys, because I feel as though all these aspects, and as young men, as we're talking, it's not usually spoken about because we're taught as men to be so strong, to be so energetic, to never let anything basically deter us. We shouldn't have any emotions. And now here we are talking about all these things, and it's like, oh
Oh,
wow.
full circle. Full
Yeah,
circle.
I think that's a very excellent point. Because I think we had this conversation yesterday in terms of vulnerability and
Yeah,
how
that's a compliment.
and how we express vulnerability. I mean, yeah, what you're saying is absolutely correct. The work of the Talking Boys, in a very summary and nutshell way, looks at creating safe spaces in the sense that allowing men and boys to just be themselves and be who they are, not necessarily be what society deems a man to be, but who they are. And I think it is important, as you correctly said, to acknowledge that that we have more than one emotion within our toolkit. Anger is not the only emotion that we have in our toolkit. And as much as, I mean, again, from our conversation yesterday, sometimes it's difficult to, or it may take a while to get to a point to admit that, yes, I'm feeling something outside of anger. And this is how I feel. And sometimes it may be even harder to articulate just precisely the way you feel. But at least giving yourself the space to acknowledge that this is how you feel. Having frank conversations. I mean, yesterday we had a very frank conversation and kind of respected Makisi just a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Just on that frank
Just a little bit.
conversation. And I mean, it was cool because I got insight about Makisi's life that I didn't necessarily know about. And the same vice versa. And I think, honestly speaking, and believe it or not, I think I'll tell you this in person. That's probably the highlight of my week. As horrible as the day started and horrible as went, I think that was the highlight of my week. Because yeah, I think usually we don't see, in terms of as male friends, we don't necessarily see like that vulnerable side of our male friends.
Mhm.
So when it happens, it's quite interesting and
It's all one point point.
yeah, it's
No,
really
because
quite
honestly, it
interesting.
felt as though it felt like my trip just begun. Because it's like,
Oh,
okay.
you don't even break down the
Right.
walls.
So it was like, this should have happened much earlier. As I told you yesterday, I really wasn't sure when I returned, like how it would have been. Because it's like, I definitely knew our conversation not needed to happen before I left, or maybe when I get there. But when I get back home, it's like, would it have actually happened?
Maybe we should have done that conversation a little bit.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But
It is. We can't extend
everything
your
happens for a
stay.
reason.
Yeah, we can't even not extend your stay. You cost me too much money gas this week. Yeah.
The thing is, though, I feel like you called Makisi like 4 times, but who is Makisi?
Oh yes, sorry. That's like yeah. So we have
I don't know if you
the
want to start from the very beginning, like
yeah
how
I
this came to be, and
yeah. So I think just in a nutshell, we Talking Boys started as I wouldn't even say we started as an NGO. We really just started as a group of ourselves,
yeah, it was like there was like
create
four of
four of
us.
us, yeah,
Yeah,
creating space in a WhatsApp group chat.
what thought group
It was
chat?
a
Yep.
WhatsApp group chat before WhatsApp community. So it's kind of
Yeah,
before WhatsApp community. That was like 2020, around like
yeah,
2020.
about
But I
2020.
think we
As
had
I
that
was
WhatsApp.
also 2020.
I think we had that group chat even before 2020,
Yeah, but
actually.
then we started using it for that
Yeah,
purpose.
so it really just started as a group of four friends creating space for themselves. And when I say creating space, just being able to talk about whatever they feel like doing in a space where we respect each other. We allow each other to say what they want to say in a way that, you
Wouldn't
know,
be judged or anything like that.
yeah, you say what you want to
The
say.
thing is, the funny thing too is like when you talk about not being judged, like obviously there's be that hesitation at first because I don't know how people could take this when I say this, and then you would say and realize a lot of people would understand because a lot of people just go through that as well. And when you find that person or people that understand and relate, it's like the best feeling. That's the best feeling.
So yeah,
So
the group started with about four persons who are actually still with the organization today. The person that you heard just now is actually one of the original founders,
sure.
Gregory Brathwaite, who is now doing amazing work in terms of our marketing. So anything marketing related, find Gregory Brathwaite, not Ranako Bailey, find Gregory Brathwaite. Yeah, and Gregory started as a co-founder. He's now responsible for marketing on our executive team, and he's also now on the board as well. So it's fantastic. The person that you heard with the non-Bajan accent before, that's Makisi. Makisi Francis visiting from Trinidad.
Makesi. Yeah,
Makesi, the
Makesi.
correction, the guys, the correction. Makisi, let me see, Makesi. It's funny that I've known him for at least over a year now, and I always call him
Over a year,
Makisi.
you've known me for 4 years actually.
Oh
Yeah, it was,
Jesus!
you said over a year, and I was like,
I was
I'm pretty
being
sure
modest
it's
in
Yeah, so
saying
like
over a
about
year.
about 3+ years or
I was
so.
being modest in saying over
That's
here, but
yeah.
Makesi, from Trinidad and Tobago. But
Uh,
Makisi from Trinidad and Tobago, and Makisi is serving as a representative for Trinidad and Tobago, as well as our deputy chair of the board. Big up.
But it has been an interesting journey in terms of joining We Talking Boys. Because funny enough, when we discussed like how I got involved, it's like,
How did you get involved?
how did I get involved? All I remember, I began doing work with Victimize, which I co-founded in 2021 out of the Spotlight Initiative with UN Women. From that, well, before that, I would have worked with Karima and the Caribbean Meal Action Network. And I know it was during my time there, I got the opportunity to start Victimize 1 and 2. We had the Younger initiative that we were both a part of. And I think it's out of that, in me developing the youth delegates, it's when we both connected further. And I think somewhere along the lines, that's how I got involved with We Talking Boys. Because it's me recognizing that I've always wanted to be a part of gender initiatives. And with my work with Karim and my work with Victimize, and now We Talking Boys, it kind of continued that work that I always envisioned for myself. Because oddly enough, I remember like when I was in university, like in 2020, 2017, like all my assignments, everything that I would have produced was always centered around gender in terms of intersectionality, um, the different experiences in terms of migration for marginalized groups and so on. And it all stemmed in gender. And I didn't understand that. It was actually something I was interested in and I loved until I started working with these organizations and I started doing the research. And it was like the information was just so easy to retain because when you have a passion for something, you just, have it. So enough of me talking.
No, I think I want to jump in there. It's really important that we in our you mentioned some key words, and I kind of want you to break them down. You spoke about intersectionality. You know,
I don't think we should do that today. Today's an introduction.
if just for just a really you don't need to because we all know that intersectionality is really depth and complex, but just a summary of just a basic one-liner that you would describe.
Okay, so I would describe intersectionality as my experience is not your experience. So, for example, just last time we were talking about my experience as well, with colorism in Trinidad and Tobago. My experience as a lighter complexion versus some of my friends who are darker skin complexion in terms of their experiences with the law, with school, with work. It's different than mine. Some of the experiences that they would have had is definitely not the same experiences I would have. And we have to recognize that, okay, even though we are two black men, a black man of a lighter skin complexion and a black man of a darker skin complexion have two different experiences. If we are two black persons, one male, one female, we all have different experiences. We view the world differently, and then the world in turn views us differently, and it affects us in different ways.
Yeah, because I just felt as though that the word of that intersectionality and that, that's really not we're here to just be vibes and I do understand that you use that word, but I just wanted you to kind of break it down. Definitely, Greg, it's something that we would go a bit more further in depth, because it's a really key important topic to discuss when we're speaking about meta masculinities and all these different things. But yeah, I think as we kind of reflected this week in terms of your involvement, definitely would have done from we can just calling it around victimize, and when we would have both did we would have been both youth delegates for an initiative, and yeah, that's where the whole friendship slash collaboration started. With Gregory. Gregory has been here for quite
Yeah,
some
I was
time.
actually about to say, like my reasoning for joining is not as impressive. It is is simply just because like I've known Ranako for I don't want to say too long because that's not mean.
I
But
thought you was gonna say like how you started. I was like, he's gonna say 20 years.
I've known him for quite since I was in first form. Yeah, since 2012. So
11 years, if my
well, yeah,
math is
11,
right.
yeah, 11 going to 12 years, which is basically half of my life.
Yeah, that's
I've
wild.
known you for half of
That's
my
wild.
existence. So yeah, and I recall because I ain't gonna lie, I can't remember who we were working with exactly at the time. But I know for a while you kept coming to me because I think during this time too, we were speaking, but not like every single day. So, but you were like popping, 'cause I know you were busy with work and school and stuff, and you were just popping was
No,
like,
I think
yeah,
it was school. I don't
yeah,
think I
yeah, it was probably
started
the
that.
school.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I
I
think it was probably
started.
the
Yeah, yeah. I
school.
don't think I had
So
started
it
that
was,
outing.
and it was working. So it was expected to not hear you on like every day, but I will still remember something late on the evening. You will just message me like, "Yo, this yo Greg," and I'll be like, "Yo, we'll get on." And this is yeah, honestly, school or work or whatever. I think that was it. And then then conversation started coming where you start hinting at stuff. It was like realistically, right? I really I think that people need or especially to me, it was like, I think I
Yeah,
referring
yeah.
to you. I want some place where I could just go and just ramble off. 'Cause I think at that point you were going to other people as well. Just he was like going to all these different people to go see the same thing over and over again was like it's just too much. Let me create a group chat real quick. Well, these
Really?
people that I
And
was
that's the
speaking to,
four persons and
exactly.
how we talking boys started.
Then that was
Funny
where
enough.
it so it'd have been
Yeah.
you, Kadeem, Jelani, and I.
Yeah.
And it was just in the I don't think I knew Jelani. So that's how I met Jelani. And
Big up to Jelani.
saving lives out there, literally. But right, and then I don't I think although you might not know, but I believe you said as a joke and was like, I would make this a full thing, like a serious thing. And I was like, all right, cool, we will see what happened. And then we kind of just stopped talking about that in a way. Then just come back like a month later was like, yeah, yeah, Greg, I doing this. I for sure doing this. And then you start coming to me for like names and stuff. It was like, yeah, I could make this happen for sure. And this is for like 3 years down the line now, and the fact that we are sitting and having a
Yeah.
podcast about this, and the fact that it's not just the four of us that we got a whole board and we've done so many like meetings and stuff. Yeah, it went from you telling me, yeah, I doing this to yeah, we doing this.
Yeah.
So
And I
I
think
just honestly like although I know something we had a little rough patch and what's not, but I just incredibly proud of like how I don't want to say we of how where you've gotten this because 100% it was like the driving force of this. So 100%. Granted, you got the good backing. You got me and Makesi still got to get a little thing. You got good backing, but
big up to all
I
the
I don't I don't
supporters.
think
Yeah.
the motivation or the drive for it ever slipped. Like it was always there for like yeah we be going places for sure. And yeah, I'm happy where we're at and I'm happy for where we're going to be going. So yeah, that's I guess that'd be my introduction of how I got in. So yeah,
I
that's
think
just
Gregory
me.
also kind of alluded to my introduction.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Ranako Bailey.
Yeah, my introduction very much was sorry, my name is Ranako and I'm the chair and what's my official title now? And CEO designate. For We Talking Boys, for me, as Gregory correctly shared, it really just started as well, yeah, one having to find space with each, having to find, well, needing a space to just vent with the boys and being tired of forwarding voice messages to each and every single one of them. I mean, well, Gregory would have known Kadeem. Kadeem is our operations guy, or yeah, operations guy. He's also director of the board. Jelani, just currently, Jelani also is a co-founder, and he also sits on the board as well. But I mean, I think, and you saying that, I remember, those conversations. When it first started, we were quite candid with each other. We were quite frank with each other. Sorry, and I think one of the things I was always aware of, and it took that's kind of what took so long to put the group chat into something a bit more official was I was definitely afraid of the opposition. That was a really big thing for me. I remember I think it took a couple of months before I think it was you that probably said, let me just get this
Yeah.
done.
I
Oh.
was like, you got everything there, might as well just go ahead.
Yeah, because I remember we had meetings after meetings, week after week.
And that point is like, at this point, what do we have to
Call after
lose? It's like,
call.
what do we have to lose? We ain't start nothing yet, so there's nothing to lose. And having nothing to lose is like the best start. It's like there are really no worries. You could just going and yeah, test the waters. If it's too cold, you would adjust. And we had to do some adjusting for sure. It wasn't just smooth. For sure, we had to do some adjusting, but that's just how life is. It is adjusting, adapting is just yeah, that's just nature.
very something's
Uh,
very uncomfortable because I mean we've had some very uncomfortable experiences in the NGO, um, particularly especially as a founding team. We've been through because again, there's only so much that four people can really do, in all honesty. So yeah, and I think
and I think deep down we know that this before we think it can't just be the four of us for sure. Not for the what we had in mind. So having these people, we have. I will say we got like some of the best people
yep, shout
around
out
us.
to
Yeah.
Leanne, one of our amazing directors who takes all of my shenanigans and just listens to me. Big up to IGDS Nitabara unit. Big up to our other representative from Trinidad and Tobago, and also another director of the board, Kevin Liverpool. Yeah, I think that's about it. And again, big up to all the persons who supported us. I think I'm going to insert a plug here. Massive, massive big up to the Canadian High Commission in Barbados for their support in some of the work that we're doing, and even their support in this production of the podcast. It's been amazing to be having not only frank conversations around. You would have seen Makesi for sure in the hashtag Caribbean Man, sorry, hashtag Caribbean Men Can initiative by the Canadians across the Caribbean. And I think, yeah, big up to the government of Canada in terms of the work that they're doing, not only around gender equality, but more specifically looking at male and male allyship. And we look at gender equality and human rights. I think that's enough of my plug. uh, but yeah, Mikisi, tell us, why gender, why we talking boys, or why men and masculinity? They should say why.
I think I could say because I said that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I just want to touch because I'm just thinking about like, where's We Talking Boys going and what has We Talking Boys done? And as you were just talking about in terms of like thank you, so I want to say like thank you for Shiro's in terms of me getting my training with them and then you a year later getting your training with them. Is that a year or 2 years later? And Shiro's is something that is it's run by UNESCO Caribbean. And right. And I just want to say thank you to them because out of my participation in that and them being aware of the work that I do with Victimize, We Talking Boys, and Harryman at the time, um, I got to go to Mexico for the second forum of racism and discrimination, and I represented We Talking Boys and Victimize to, spread the word of the work that we're doing. And that is it's helping in terms of where We Talking Boys is going because we're seeing now that we're expanding to Trinidad, and that's exactly why we have two Trinidadian representatives, right? And you could expand, you could expand, but um, just what last year you were in Trinidad and you were doing missionary work, so
Well,
you got the opportunity to speak with.
for those who necessarily you're not able to see this, Makisi said missionary work
very big quotation marks.
in very big quotes.
Yeah, but you were able to speak with institutions such as maybe GSN at University of the West Indies in St. Augustine, um, ministries, so Ministry of National Security, Office of Law Enforcement Policy was involved, different NGOs such as We Say Yes, um, Heroes Foundation. Who else was involved? But there were several organizations that were key in your visit. Cotton Tree Foundation.
Oh boy, sorry, Cotton
Cotton Tree
Tree
Foundation.
Foundation.
But
Yeah,
they
yeah.
all played a major part in your visit there because you got to see, oh, and Voice to Men program. You
Yeah, that
got to
was a
see
really
so
good
many
one. Yeah.
different cultural nuances, right? You got to get that exposure to understand that, okay, there are certain things that we do in Barbados that wouldn't work for Trinidad, and how can we then adapt the programming, and how can we then collaborate with these organizations to ensure that what the work that we're trying to do is spread and it's impactful versus just something that I don't want to say that isn't working, but definitely isn't making the true impact that the persons wanted to achieve.
Yeah, and I think what you said there is kind of a key point in understanding not just, being present in a location, but understanding the realities of the persons. And I think the second thing that I wanted to mention, I think this is fundamental. This is something fundamental that we've agreed to as an organization is, and I'm going to be using your words here, so prepare for that. It's not reinventing the wheel, but working with those who are on the ground, doing the work and supporting them. Obviously, in some cases, we offer, our expertise in terms of men and masculinities. Makesi, speaks. I guess we can have a whole podcast about Makesi's whole life journey.
Honestly,
But Makesi's special, huh? But we working with NGOs who are already on the ground, supporting them in terms of when it looks at, looking at gender equality, but gender equality through the lens of Caribbean masculinities and how we can support them in terms of programming to their specific men and boys. That's something that we've always been doing. We've been working with IGDS Nita Bar Unit for quite some time. So massive shout out to Leanne Worrell and the team there. And I think the collaborative effort allows us and enable us to, support the work that's been doing have rather than trying to essentially just create a whole new programming when there's already programming that existed and support. So I think those are two key things that you said that I think we should still. And I also want to put in another plug here. I hope Gregory's gonna be limit me and my plugs for the next podcast for sure. We are looking for volunteers for our Trinity branch. We don't have It's not a fully established branches yet, but we do need at least one volunteer. Head of the Trinity branch, Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis no loss.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's possible.
yeah. So I think Greg.
Um,
Caught Greg off guard there.
yeah.
honestly,
Sneak up, right?
yeah. Because usually you tend just go on for like 3 days, so I wasn't really
Well,
prepared for it to switch back to me.
we
But
we
yeah,
we're
but I feel like y'all covered a good handful, because again, it's just introductory. So
So I just one question. I guess we could answer this really quickly, and then wrapping up. We're as individuals and not necessarily in our positions as well. Obviously, in their positions as are we talking boys. This is not a trick question. I'm just here as Ranako right now. But where do you see, in your personal opinion, or where do you want to see? I think is a better question. Where would you want to see we talking boys in the next at least 5 years?
the next 5 years, I want to open IG and just see a sponsored WeTalking Boys. Is that, yeah, this is what we just do. Like I won't be seeing it not everywhere, but I won't be seeing it places for sure. So like if I look at it from like a outside perspective, is that I feel if I was coming up through like coming up from secondary school. I was coming up from secondary school and that was usually around the time where things is actually started to hit you, because you hit that age where everything hitting you all at once and sometimes you don't know how to handle it. I feel if at that point something as because I we are somewhat simple in terms of complexity and like nothing that big or you gotta do so much work to get in or understand what's going on. So if you have something as easy to understand and get in as we talking boys, it would have been so smooth. Because I feel like from that age, having that environment where you could just go and talk or share your experiences or any started judgment or anything like that, that would have been like a vibe from that age to it, like a total vibe. So in like 5 years, I want that when children coming up to school and when it's got like the little section do like getting a concert and what's not. You can see we talking boys on our papers like yeah, check them out for sure. This is the place for you to go and sort of stuff. So I guess I could just summarize it to say I would love to see it like integrated with like schools and that sort of stuff from like that young age where things was just come down hard. Having that access and availability to be talking boys through the schools would be amazing. Amazing, to be honest. And I don't think we too far from that because we've done a few school visits and stuff. So the possibility is definitely there. So 5 years from now, I would for sure love to that we got that 100% concrete. Be integrating in some schools for sure. Even as like a little extra club or something, anything like that. I could see it happening, and I would love to see it happening. To be honest. Yeah, for
Well, I
sure.
mean, you're currently in charge of two of our
Yeah.
major programming buddies.
Mhm.
But yeah, Makesi,
I'm keeping it short. I share the same sentiments as Gregory in terms of it basically being a household name.
Yeah.
To ensure that, because that ensures that it's being impactful, right? Ensuring that the youth recognizes the values and the vision of the organization. Um, and not only in Barbados, I foresee, I would love to see that in 5 years We Talking Boys becomes a network for so many other gendered organizations, not just organizations that deals with men and masculinity, but also women and girls. Because at the end of the day, to fix a lot of the issues that we have in society, we need everyone to be a part of it. We need everyone to be a part of the conversation. We need everyone to be a part of the movement. So for me, it's being this major network for the region. Maybe it might go bigger than that, but for the region
yeah,
where we definitely are connected with each other, we share the information, we understand how to tackle major cultural issues. Um, we just in people face, just being people face. And I think we've already started that in terms of with your visit to Trinidad, within the network of NGOs, government officials and stuff that's already on board to move forward with us. And I'm quite sure it's the same here in Barbados, the amount of institutions that are already involved and seeking the interest and to see how this moves forward. Uh, so yeah, just up in people face, basically.
We talking boys will be in the conversation. But when I start talking with this other stuff, we talking boys is there.
he prefaced that he was going to be short. He,
That was short.
Yeah, that, for Makesi and for you, that is short.
What?
Granted, that is.
so I would preface by saying the same thing. I'll try to be short. Unfortunately, I'm known to be the lengthy speaker, the debate speaker. Sorry, the budget speaker. The budget speaker. Budgets are usually long and boring. But you should still listen to dear budgets. But I think, yeah, just not random plug. It's always good to listen to your parliamentary budget speeches. But I think in 5 years, I think We Talking Boys. I always see We Talking Boys as my child. It has always been my child. Um,
I hope we share him custody because
yeah,
yeah, I mean you got four other guys that started over you, so
it's kind of a shared
I hope
custody
it's some shared
situation.
custody situation.
But I really think that Gregory, we call him Greg because his name is quite long.
Yes, Greg,
Um,
that's a whole three syllables.
Greg.
Don't mind Makesi is three syllables as well, but that rules better.
Yeah, and they say with the train accent, you got that low,
I can even attempt. I will not share myself.
But I think both of them have, I think, said excellent points, and I think I don't want to. I'll try not to repeat them. I'll just, I think one of the things that I really want, and I see We Talking Boys being, kind of ties into a lot more what Makisi was saying, is a network that works with various NGOs on the ground. We have our expertise in terms of men and masculinities, Caribbean men and masculinities, gender, etc. But really working to drive these serious conversations that we need to have around men and masculinities in the Caribbean, and men allyship in the Caribbean, I should say, and looking to how do we relearn, um, what it is to be a man, in the Caribbean. I mean, we all understood, and I remember having this frank conversation up front with the co-founders, is that the NGO focuses on hoping to change, how do we perceive to be a man, but we understand that this change is not going to happen within 10 years. It may not happen within 15 years. But to be a part of that conversation and to spark the conversation is important. So yeah, and very short, and Gregory and Makisi is probably going to laugh because I'm actually coming to a close now. Um, but yeah, really being a stalwart in terms of the network that we are doing and we're having, and I would really love that, we continue to strengthen what we have in Barbados. I think the Barbadian chapter is doing a great job. There's some stuff, and I'll let Gregory plug some other stuff that we have going on. But I think being that network, that Caribbean network, working with our local friends, as we like to call them, to ensure that these conversations are had, to challenge these things. I think that's really what I really want to see with Talking Boys in 5 years. And possibly a more expanded team so we can get more stuff, so we can get all the great ideas that we have running through our heads and initiatives that we have running through our heads things. So I'll stop there so that I don't give you a budget speech.
But yeah, I guess I would just add on in terms of I guess when you what I assume you alluded to when you said Gregory would finish your Rhapsody plugs would well mainly right now be the Discord. Because for now we use Discord as like the main speaking platform. It's nothing big or all up in your face. It's just a place where you could go share some videos, photos. If you want to spark a conversation, you could spark a conversation. There's a movie lounge, a gaming lounge. There's is just a is just a vibe, to be honest. It's a vibe. So for sure check that out. And I would insert my little icons all over the place. So I'll do what I have to do in post. But yeah, this has been we've been speaking for 40 minutes.
Well, that's good.
So that is, yeah. So I want to cut out all of stuff that I'm not allowed to put in. I probably could probably trim this to like a good 25 to 30 minutes, which ain't bad. It's not bad at
Not
all.
bad, not bad, not bad.
And,
And I mean,
and this was just us bouncing off. So imagine if we actually got points to follow. I feel like yeah, it would.
it's always a chill vibe.
Yeah.
Grab your water and your juice.
Mm, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
This is the show.
We gotta find an ending, like a low.
Give us suggestions, guys.
Yeah.
Gregory's the marketing guy. If you know Gregory personally, bombard his WhatsApp with some
Yeah,
suggestions.
it's true.
Or it is a small place, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So again, so this is going to be a recurring podcast. Every week we're going to have a
Excuse
theme.
me? You mean every week?
Every month. I'm sorry. Dululu. That's a bit of Dululu. Every month we're going to have a podcast. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how things are. We're gonna have some yeah. We're gonna have some of the conversations gonna be a little light, some of them may be a bit heavy. We're gonna definitely have some guest speakers. We already have we already have some amazing guest speakers lined up. And I think one of the things we should also encourage our audience to do is feel free to ask any question. Maybe we could open forum for outside of the commenting or whatever the case may be, the questions that you may have or topics that you may want us to cover. This is again just a chilled vibe, and even if when we bring on experts, it's again going to be a chill conversations. So don't worry about big words like intersectionality. I would ensure that um Makesi don't use that again.
That's what every time y'all or although I know the word, every time I hear it, my brain is just it's just like static shock.
It's a big word, huh?
Oh,
But yeah, we're keeping conversations simple, addressing things in a simple manner, that type of thing. So yeah, thanks, Greg. Oh,
yeah. So like this has been us. We talking boys. Talking.
talking.
Talking. Yep. Just talking. So this what I mean we gotta get end card. So how we gonna end this? Go on, Chief. Yeah.
Um, um,
All right. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah, so we hear y'all next time. Well, no, y'all hear us next time.
yeah.